The cooks at Heritage Prairie Farm are busy on this Friday afternoon. Just outside the garage converted into kitchen, a wedding party rehearses.
So you guys are going to walk all the way up to the front, okay? We're the ones wearing heels.
We view the events and the farming as all one thing. That is who we are.
Nate Sumner is the operations manager here. He keeps an eye on everything: harvesting produce, the small farm store, and farm events.
I have a background in the culinary world. That's what I went to school for. I have a passion for growing food, and I can't think of any other way I could possibly combine my two passions into one job.
While that background might not work with many farms, it's a perfect fit for this small organic farm just outside of Chicago.
We like to think of ourselves as a one-stop shop for food production and food preparation. So when it comes to the food here at Heritage Prairie Farm, we view the growing methods and the kitchen methods to be a cohesive process. For instance, for our farm dinners, we will write our menus for the dinner in fall the same time that we're writing our farm plan in January. And that way we can really get creative about how we're going to grow things, what varieties we're going to select.
Weddings and events are this farm's biggest revenue source. Also, produce is sold through the farm's community-supported agriculture program and in the on-site market.
So Nate, one of the things you have to do is diversify and look for what's next, right? This is what we're talking about.
Absolutely. So these are a product that we started growing that we're selling throughout the region.
Microgreens.
Microgreens.
And look at that.
So this is micro kale. So in this much micro kale, there is 4 to 6 times more nutrients than this much adult kale. So in this package, which is 1 1/4 ounces, that's the equivalent of eating, 4 or 6 ounces of adult kale.
Seriously.
Yeah, and the reason for that is threefold. One is we're photosynthesizing nutrients from the sun, because this is grown in a greenhouse.
Okay.
It's grown in soil, so it's pulling nutrients up from the soil. But the third part is the seed. These little leaves are called the cotyledon, and they're kind of the storage vessel of the energy that's in the seed.
You'll also find the microgreens at area Whole Foods stores, providing another source of revenue for Heritage Prairie. The diversification of the farm highlights a challenge that smaller agricultural enterprises face, particularly organic farms.
A lot of times people don't understand quite the work that goes into our organic food. When we prepare a bed, we do it by hand. When we seed a bed, we do it by hand. When we weed a bed, harvest a bed, wash all the produce that came off that bed, it's all by hand.
It's hard work, but it's good work.
Tom Pouch knows just how much work it takes. The former carpenter lost more than 30 pounds after working here for just a few months.
I've always enjoyed growing things. I've always had a green thumb, and I figured I'd apply it to something I can do for a living. Instead of doing it in my backyard.
Another challenge for organic farms like Heritage Prairie, combating pests like this nasty thing. This is the tomato hornworm.
A tomato hornworm could decimate a whole greenhouse within a few weeks if we didn't take care of it. There are some controls that we can use organically. To be organic doesn't mean that we don't use pesticides or we don't use herbicides. It just means that any time that we do use a substance, it has to be of natural origin. It cannot be synthetic or man-made. And we have to have a reason to use it, and we have to justify the need for it.
The farm also is home to about 40 beehives. Besides pollinating the crops, the bees produce honey that gets sold in the farm store and to local chefs. Of course, the beehives are not part of the weddings or farm dinners, but everything else about Heritage Prairie is about sharing the farm philosophy with visitors.
Our mission statement is to cultivate great life experiences through food. So when people come here, I want them to enjoy themselves, have a good time, but I also want them to learn a little bit about where their food comes from and have a more authentic food experience while they're here.